So I hope that you enjoyed that post-processes. Okay. This is the ZWO AM5 mount that I got just a few weeks ago, and I ordered this at the end of the astrophotography season here in Sweden, and I wasn't really expecting to get it as quickly as I did. So I did have some time to photograph a few objects with this one before the astronomical night is gone here in Sweden, and I was thinking I'll show you guys the post-process of the first image that I took on this mount, the Elephant Trunk Nebula. And since I live in a white zone or a Bortle 8-9 zone, I had to use narrowbands, so the Elephant Trunk Nebula is in HSO. So let's go to the computer and have a look at how I work with these images. Okay, so now that we are here in front of the computer, I'm just gonna go through a quick walkthrough of my process. So first, what I usually do is that I create an SHO variant, and I'm stretching it and altering the colors to fit the stars. I'm only looking at the stars, not the nebulosity, because the next step is to create a starless SH and O data. So I will have SHO stars, I will have O stars, S stars, and H stars. I will have 4 different types of stars, and I will also have 3 different starless files. Next step is to create the actual SHO image using the starless variants, and in the end I just added the SHO stars that I created on step 1 to make a final image. So let's dive into the computer and I'll show you guys how I work. Alright, so here we are. For the sake of this example, I have 3 files. I have the stars here, the HA stars, the O3 stars, the S2 stars, and the SHO stars. These are the ones that I'm probably gonna use in the end. And then I also have the register results here, the HA, the O3, and the S2 data. They are perfectly aligned at this point. They're registered and aligned. And I'm gonna show you how I stretch the image using only the HA data here, so you don't have to look at everything all the time. So here we are. This is the HA data that I have, and it is in linear mode, so you don't see much. I'm not touching the crop at this point because everything is aligned and need to be so until I have created the actual SHO image. So first off is of course to stretch it, and I'm just gonna go and create a levels adjustment layer and kinda try to even it out, to stretch it out a little bit. I like to take small steps here, and then what I do is that I duplicate this layer, and I see that the image is getting too bright here, so I just take the latest adjustment layer and I'm just trying to darken it. Now it's too dark, until I have basically found the balance where I'm only pulling out the details here. Something like this. And you see, for every duplication I make, I get a little bit of data out of the image. So at some point I'm gonna be happy with the results. I'm looking a lot at the background here because the backgrounds need to align for each and every file, and maybe one more here. This is good enough for now, and you can see that I have a lot of dust in this data, but I'm gonna crop this away anyways. But there are some methods to deal with this as well. I'm gonna show you that too. So now the first initial stretch is done. I'm just gonna do some little contrast adjustments here with layers, something like this, and you see that there's plenty of noise in this image, and this is because I live on a Bortle 9 area. I'm living in a white zone, and then you have all these weird artifacts from the star extraction. And by the way, I use StarNet for the star extraction, which is a free and really awesome tool. Yeah, so at this point I could be pretty happy with the results. I will probably do a lot of tweaking, but I'm not gonna show you guys in this video because they are subtle and they just make the image a little bit better. But for the sake of this video, I'm not gonna bore you guys with that. So I'm gonna do something that I usually don't, but this is a checkpoint layer. So I create a new layer based on all the things that I did before. So I can actually just go ahead and group these things and don't need to show them. So this is before and this is after. So now I go into camera raw and I'm just gonna do an, oops, wrong layer. So now I just go into camera raw by command Shift A, and I can do some additional tweaks here. Now first off, I usually go to basics and increase the contrast a little bit more, and that is it's for the background basically. I pull down the shadows a little bit more, maybe even the darks a little bit, and then I just bump up dehaze a little bit to bring out a little bit more of the contrast of the background versus the nebulosity. And maybe even a little bit of whites to make the nebulosity pop a little bit, like so. And I think that I could pull out a little bit more data here, so I'm just gonna do this with a curves adjustment layer, just a little bit more contrast like this, and I don't have to have it in another layer. I'm just putting it into the checkpoint layer here. So I'm working pretty destructive here, but it's for the sake of this video. I'm trying to keep up the speed here. Okay, so at this point I'm pretty happy with the HA stretch, and I don't need to do a lot more of this. And I'm just going to go to my new plugin, which is Noise Exterminator from RC Astro. That is a great tool. And I usually do around 80%, but I don't want to do that now because I want to redo the noise extermination in the SHO variant. So I'm just going to go ahead around 50% and watch this tool work its magic by simply reducing a lot of noise that I get from my Bortle 9 area. And voila, see, that brought out a lot of new details that couldn't really be seen with all the noise that I had. So I am really in love with this tool, and I'm guessing that the other tools that RC Astro is doing are really great. But for now, I'm trying to not go crazy with all of these softwares. Yeah, so this is basically it. Oh yeah, let me address the small imperfections here. So what I do here is that I create a new layer, and this layer will be a lighten mode, and I'm just going to use the eyedropper tool to select a color that is close to this imperfection, and then a brush tool with a very low opacity, and I'm just filling the imperfection out like so. Now you can still see that it's not really perfect, but you don't have to have it perfect because it's not gonna show at the end the results anyways. And also I will cut these imperfections out in the final variant anyways, but this is just to make these imperfections a little less noticeable, like so. I mean, that we don't have to look at them all the time. So that is my method of removing imperfections when the flats aren't working correctly, which in my case is a little bit too often than I would like. But yeah, there you are. And now let's do this for the O3 and the S2 data, and we'll continue from there. So now we're back, and I have done basically the same thing for the O3, the S2 and the H8 that I did with the H8 data. And here we can see the O3 data, not very pretty. This is prone to a lot of light pollution, but that's what I get from my area. The S2, not very pretty either, but what can you do? And then you have the HA. So at this point, I'm just taking my H2 data and I will create a new image, which is a RGB color image like so. And I'm just putting the sulfur into the red channel, taking the oxygen, putting it into the blue channel, and taking the hydrogen, putting it into the green channel. Now I re-edited the hydrogen a little bit to match the additional data of the sulfur and the oxygen as well. And this leaves me with this image. And I will still not cut this image because I need to add the stars. So let's go ahead and open up the stars and put in the HSO stars into this final image like so. Why isn't it being added? Copy it and paste it into the image. And in order to make the background visible here, you have to change the blend mode of this layer to lighten. I like lighten. You can have screen, but lighten makes the stars a little bit less aggressive, and I tend to use that. So here we are. This is actually SHO image, kind of, but now we can start working a little bit on the color and the color balance, and do some additional stretching and tweaks here before calling this image finished. So first off, let's just crop away a lot of things that I don't want to be visible in this image. This one is this data is drizzled, so there are a lot of pixels here to use. Even when I crop this pretty aggressively, I still have an image that is 7,000 by 5,000 pixels wide, so it's a pretty good resolution anyways. So I'm kind of happy with this. I'll probably go ahead and go even deeper at some point, but for now let's keep it like this. And let's create the Hubble palette that we all love so much. And I do that by a selective color adjustment layer. And I address the greens by removing the cyan from the greens and adding some magenta, just a tad bit of that. And then go to yellow, again, remove the cyans, and also maybe remove a little bit of magenta here. And then I will go to the cyans, and here I'm gonna remove the yellows just to make the blue pop a little bit, and maybe even add a little bit of cyan here. So somewhere in this area is a good starting point. I will make an additional selective color layer and do some more tweaking on the cyans. I could go crazy here, but I really don't want to do that. So I'm just making the blue pop a little bit more, and then I think I'm gonna address the background. You see, it's a little bit on the purplish side here, and that I don't like. So I go to the blacks and I kinda try to remove the purple magenta thing a little bit by adding some yellows here, adjusting the colors just a little bit, not too much, because this is a very dangerous color to play with. Even the cyans could do, no, this will affect the image too much, no cyans. So somewhere around here perhaps I just want to remove the tint, right? Here we are. This is a good place to be. Not going to go overly crazy with the background because I will probably remove it anyways, but here we are. And then I'm just gonna do a little bit more stretch. I can pull up a little bit more data here. Why not? There are plenty of data to have here. And the contrast, like so. Now you can really see the details starting popping up. And I mean, this is cropping in a lot because this lens is only 200 millimeters, so it's pretty wide field, but there's still some nice data to see here. And yeah, I think that is a good place to create a checkpoint again and go into Camera Raw, Command Shift A, and do some additional minor tweaks here. First off, let's see if I go make this image a little bit more cold, I will address the background a little bit, the kind of red background that I don't like. And tinting is usually not something I touch. Increase the contrast a little bit more. Oh, wait a minute. I made a small mistake here. Let's go back. Increase the contrast a little bit and bring down the shadows a little bit as well. And since this is a starless version, I can actually bump up the highlights a little bit without affecting the image too much. Also maybe even the whites, and pull down the blacks. So basically what I'm trying to do is to enhance the nebulosity while I'm looking at the background a lot, not to destroy that. Some additional dehaze to again address the background. You see that the background is being really affected by this, so just a tad bit dehazing there to make the background a little bit darker. Vibrance and saturation is not being touched by me at this point because I did all the adjustments from the color adjustments layer. And then even maybe some additional tweaks for the background, like going into the shadows and just trying to go towards the blue cold side to make the black background more black, basically. Yeah, all right, so here we are, and this is a good place to add the stars and do some additional noise reduction with RC Astro. So let's have a look at the results here in a little bit more detail. So I'm gonna go to noise extermination, and I did 50% before, right? So I'm just gonna go to roughly 20 or say 25% denoise now, just to make this image a little bit better, like so. Look at this, and let's add back the stars. And here we are. This is probably a point where I would stop for the sake of this video, but I will make additional tweaks and adjustments, but those are really minor, you know, so I don't have to show you guys everything at this point. Do let me know if you are interested to see those as well, though. So I hope you enjoyed that post process. This is something that I'm working a lot on, and now with the summer starting here in Sweden, I'll probably refine these methods and maybe bring out some more data from the images that I have. But this is the process that I use at this point, and I'm pretty happy with the results that I'm getting. But I do look forward to improve additionally, and I hope this video gave you some ideas on how you can refine your post-process. And if you want to see more of my upcoming content, don't forget to subscribe, and if you like this content, don't forget to give it a like. And as usual, do hit me up with a comment if you have anything to say. I love comments. I do answer everyone at this point. So yeah, I'll see you next time, and bye now.